The Avalon Foundation and MCTV programming is proudly supported by Chuck Mandold Jr. of Benson & Mandold Real Estate. Look to Benson & Mandold for all your real estate needs.
Hello, Easton, and welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, Rabbi at Temple B'nai Israel, and this is going to be an interesting two-part show this morning, whenever we get to see it. I know you'll want to watch it because the guests are engaging and the topics are really interesting and pertinent to all of us in Easton. And my first guest, who is not a stranger to the Rabbi's Roundtable, you've been here before. Yes, of course. Yes. Is my friend Tracy Ward. You may know Tracy is the executive director of the Eastern Economic Development Corporation, and she's on top of everything that's happening in a positive and good way. You know, you are. That's what I love about that. In our city and in Talbot County. And I tell her every time I leave a meeting with these bright, successful, energetic, and inspirational people that I just feel like I'm so fortunate to be on your team that it makes me really happy. So welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable. So let's talk about what's going on. And I know there's a lot going on. There is. And let's start with a Port Street update. Is that okay?
Sure.
Good.
So we just had some really great news on Port Street. Yeah. The Planning Commission for the town of Easton completed a 2-year process of creating the regulatory environment for redevelopment on Easton Point itself.
Oh, okay.
So the zoning, the MXW, mixed use waterfront zoning, is now in place, and that gives clear directive to any potential investors on what they might achieve there.
Could you just be a little more specific so people know where we're actually talking about?
Sure. So at the point of Port Street,
all the way at the end.
All the way at the end at the water.
Right.
Beautiful waterfront.
Yes.
Looking over sort of in a westerly view across the Avon. There's about, say, 40 acres or so available for redevelopment. And we anticipate a lot of that land will be annexed into the town and then redeveloped over the next, say, 10 years. Wow. Some of it has already been annexed, but we were waiting for the final zoning.
That's really a beautiful part. I love going there, actually. There's a seafood...
there is.
Yes.
Rennie Gay Seafood.
Gay Seafood.
Yes.
Not that I've ever been there. Lots. But I see herons. I see egrets.
Yes.
I sometimes see eagles there.
Absolutely. It's beautiful wildlife. Yeah. In fact, the town just completed a bridge, so you can walk across the river at the northern branch over toward the Easton Village area. So people should check it out because the views are beautiful, and you can see incredible wildlife there.
Osprey all the time as well. Yes. That's exciting. And what's the time frame? Do we have any...
So we don't know because it's going to be private development largely that's going to set the time frame, but there are some public infrastructure things that will be happening on Easton Point, and one of them I'm really excited about. I brought this today to show you.
And we'll put it up.
Okay, great. Yeah. The mayor has presented a concept plan for a very sizable on-water park.
Oh, wonderful.
That would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 11 to 20 acres.
Really?
And he has also officially gone to the county council and suggested that the town of Easton take over the boat ramp and then move it so that it's in a better location, a place where we can provide more parking, integrated into this park concept. So this is an amenity that I think will be moving forward in the next few years. And then I think some other development projects will come along.
That's such good news. It's protective. It protects this beautiful piece of property.
Absolutely.
Will there be a bike path? Not that I have a walking path.
There's a wonderful bike trail that is being connected now from St. Michael's Road through Easton Village, cross the bridge, and then that bike trail will continue up, that would be Glenwood Street, and then up Port Street across, somewhere across, we're not sure exactly how it's going to cross over, but up and link into the rest of the town bike trails, which I think at that point the town will have something like 6 miles of trail.
Oh, that's terrific.
Really, really excellent amenity for the residents of the town of Easton.
That's what I love about living in Easton.
Absolutely, me too.
Seriously,
it's a wonderful
that's
place.
really exciting, and oh boy, I like the fact that this preserves and protects and actually improves what's there and doesn't hurt it or take away from it. That's wonderful. Very exciting. Thank you for that news.
Yes, great news.
Can we talk about one of my favorite things for a second, and that's Chesapeake Harvest?
Oh, yes.
I like Chesapeake Harvest a lot.
Well, I do too.
Let's explain what it is for those who don't know.
So Chesapeake Harvest was started 5 years ago. The goal of that project is to really increase commerce for our local farmers and producers. And one of the things that I like about it is we developed a retail program with the assistance of Jordan Lloyd.
Yes.
And the retail program basically works where an individual can go to our website, they can sign up, and then every week they can find out what is fresh and local, and they can basically purchase it through an online website and then arrange for a pickup. It's a small thing, but it's a big thing because we're basically helping people get access to healthy local foods that our farmers and producers are creating.
And business is good?
Business has been great.
Yeah.
So we had a very strong winter.
Good.
Normally you wouldn't expect to see too many winter sales, but I think the online platform has made it easy for our buyers and our sellers to find each other.
And where do people pick up the food when they do this?
So currently we're operating out of the YMCA, but we are anticipating making a change over the next couple of months, but we'll keep people posted.
Okay, and when that happens, you'll let me know. We'll
Absolutely.
come back and we'll talk about it. I actually think it's wonderful. Just one quick story. I use a lot of garlic.
Oh, yes.
And I bought through this. I bought fresh garlic. What a
that garlic is amazing.
It's incredible.
Yes.
Yes, it's a plug for Chesapeake Harvest, but it's the difference is remarkable. And if you cook and you are sensitive to the culinary
That's right.
nuance, it's amazing.
Yes, that's Nature's Garlic. It's a local farm, and who knew that you could even grow garlic here, right? I didn't know that.
I didn't know it either.
But you can, and we do, and it's incredible.
And the seasonal stuff is wonderful.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, really fresh, and not to take away from anything from our grocery stores, but there's just a difference when you get it native grown and so local, and it's like picked last night.
Well, the flavor.
Yeah.
The flavor obviously is there because it's been so recently picked.
Yeah. Anything else about Chesapeake Harvest you want to share?
I think the other thing I would just comment on is we do a lot of food safety work with our farmers out in the field, and that's really important to help them be able to sell into the grocery stores and other larger retail operations.
And aren't there government ratings?
So there are, the government regulates very strictly a lot of things around food safety. We are particularly interested in the USDA GAP, it's called, where a farmer can get good agricultural practices designated through USDA, and then that gives them the ability to sell into wholesale markets.
That's serious, and that's
it's
important.
very serious.
That speaks a lot to the quality and to the, not just the quality of the food, but to the way it's produced, and we all benefit from that.
Right, and Easton will benefit because we're bringing our farmers along and we're helping them increase their economy, and Easton's the center of our region.
Excellent.
And so all of this really does tie together.
Wonderful, wonderful. Challenges and
Opportunities, right?
Next topic. What's going on from your perspective that's challenging?
So we are hearing from a lot of our businesses that they are having a hard time finding workforce. It's a great time to be looking for a job. There's a lot of opportunity out there. I think there's a lot of employers that are willing to do training. They're willing to do what it takes to bring someone along. One of the reasons, and there are many, first of all, this is a national issue. It's very important to put it in that context, because this is not just an Easton issue or a Talbot County or even an Eastern Shore issue. This is a national issue. And we're seeing it for a number of reasons, but in our particular area, one of the things that we're beginning to take a strong look at, we don't have a solution, is the idea of affordable and accessible housing. This is a very high-cost county, and we've watched our real estate prices continue to rise. That's a good thing. At the same time, some folks are priced out of the market.
Right.
Many folks that work here are priced out of the market, and that's something that we want to work with our business community to try to begin to resolve.
And then this is part of my naivete. So how do we go about making an impact in that?
It's a great question. So there are things that can be done. I can't say what we'll do here because these are things that will have to be considered by our leaders. But we've seen, for example, in Salisbury, where they had the same concern and they ended up waiving impact fees in that case to make it, to take some of the costs out of the equation.
Yeah.
So there are things that a local jurisdiction can do to make it more attractive, to attract someone to come and invest and construct. I think we're going to have to look at other things as well. I think we're going to probably see more smaller type units being built. We have a local investor who's building, I think they're probably like 800 square foot tiny homes. So we'll see some tiny homes constructed. We're going to see some interesting infill projects, more than likely. We're seeing one happening on Marlboro Avenue right now, across from my office.
Yes.
You can see the buildings are going up. Those are going to be accessible, range and price apartment units for folks that hopefully live in work in downtown. So
we need to bring folk in.
We do,
for lots of reasons, for workforce, for population base, to keep the pulse of the community going.
Exactly. We need young people. That's another thing people love to talk about.
Yes.
We need more young people, and I think we're doing all the right things to make sure that the young people want to be here and stay here and invest here, start businesses here.
Yeah. No, as they've heard me say forever, I think it's a great place to be. It's for a multiplicity of reasons. The park, this concern. We each have a responsibility and a stake in this whole process. So,
yes.
Any other issues that you think we should be addressing or aware of, as from your perspective as executive director of the Easton Economic Development Corporation?
Well, I think that I would like to see people just continue to stay really involved in particularly the Port Street redevelopment project. Any additional issues? I don't think so. I mean, we're always looking to work with our local businesses to make sure that whatever they need to do to be successful, whether they're expanding or whether we need to bring in new businesses. So we always are working on things there as well. We have some great incentive programs. So on June 4th, we're going to have at 8 a.m., and we'll certainly do a reminder about this, but we're going to do an event for our businesses so that they can learn about all the different programs that are available.
Oh, nice.
For
June
them.
4th?
June 4th.
Where will it be held?
We have not gotten a location yet. We just set the date.
Okay,
so
you'll
you're
come back and we'll talk about that in detail and
Yes.
encourage people to come and participate
Yes.
and learn from that.
We have some great incentive programs here in Easton.
Well, you know me, I've always said I love the restaurants here, but we need a few more. And if anybody's interested, I'll be glad to give you my personal list.
Right. Yes, well, we're definitely working on a few things there,
Cool.
so fingers crossed.
Yep, there we go. Anything else you want to share?
I don't think so.
Cool.
Just everybody should get out. There's going to be April 13th. That's the Saturday, is it?
Yes.
Yes. Lots of things in downtown Easton to do.
I know, and
So-
I have to be out of town, and I'm sad about that.
Yes.
But No, as I've always said, it's a wonderful place. It's an exciting place.
It is.
Nothing is perfect. I'm not suggesting that, but we continue to go in the right direction, and you're a part of that. And I don't say that gratuitously. I think
Thank you.
you know you are, and
We have an amazing leadership group here in
We do.
Easton. The mayor, the council,
I
our
absolutely
organization,
agree.
and others.
Absolutely. So,
I'm really proud to be here.
me too.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. It's a gift. So, anyway, we have been talking with the executive director of the Easton Economic Development Corporation, my friend Tracy Ward. You will come back and
That'd be great. Thank
soon
you.
and give us an update on what's going on. Appreciate your hard work and your good efforts. You're making a difference as well. So, thank you for being at the Rabbi's Roundtable.
All right, thank you.
Easton, we will be back in a moment.
Did you know? MCTV programming is available online. Find our shows like Rabbi's Roundtable, Carlisle's Chesapeake, The Shameless Picture Show, Conversations with Sherry, and the Avalon Theater Presents at youtube.com/Midshore Community Television. The Avalon Foundation and MCTV programming is proudly supported by Chuck Mandold Jr. of Benson & Mandold Real Estate. Look to Benson & Mandold for all your real estate needs.
And we are back, and you are seated at the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, Rabbi at Temple B'nai Israel, and we are coming to you from the studios of MCTV, located in the Avalon Theater in downtown Easton. And my guests now are dear friends and colleagues in the clergy community. To my immediate right is Reverend Sue Browning. Reverend Sue Browning is the Unitarian Universalist, my fault. The UU Church, she serves both in Easton and in Chestertown. Welcome.
Thank you.
This is not your first time on the Rabbi's Roundtable.
It is.
Really?
Actually, Peter.
Oh,
Really
okay.
is.
Well, welcome. And to her right and my right is the Reverend D'Artagnan Hines. And Reverend Hines is the Reverend at Asbury United Methodist Church in Easton and Scott's United Methodist Church in Trapp. And it's a pleasure to have you at the Rabbi's Roundtable as well.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you, and thank you for taking time. This segment is a bit more, it's not that the last one wasn't serious, but we want to deal with a number of issues that affect and have affected our community of late, including the acts that took place in St. Michael's a couple of weeks ago, where little bags, may I take that for a second? Thanks, Ricky. Little bags, and this is a real one, plastic bags with bird seed in it. I don't know if you can see the bird seed. And this racist, anti-Semitic, inappropriate, bigoted statement was thrown on driveways in St. Michael's, and whatever the area was, I can't remember, which inspired me or motivated me to ask some of my colleagues to come and just to talk about not this particular act or similar acts, but what do we do as citizens, what do we do as people who have a higher horizon, who see community as literally common unity, and how not to respond to this necessarily directly, but how do we continue to create a climate that is embracing, that is nurturing, that is positive, and that by our actions and by our approach makes that even more reprehensible, clearly despicable than we may see it even now. So I'm going to turn it over and open it up for discussion. And Sue, I'll be glad to start with you.
Thank you, Peter, for inviting us here. I know in the clergy community we spend a lot of time wondering how this even occurs.
Yeah.
Where did the roots of hate grow from? And even after we've sort of wrestled a bit with those questions, when we're faced front and center, less than 2 miles from my own house, with this happening, I think human beings don't have a lot of ways to respond to hate, and our first thing is language. I think rejecting hate speech, rejecting threats, rejecting places that come in the community starts with raising our voices. As clergy, I think we model language. We model
That's a good
The
point.
fact that we know people are maybe not innately good, but they have the ability to rise to good. And so that's how we start, by rejecting just the premise.
Tartini?
I tend to agree. I always try to stress family. And, I call you all family when we meet.
Sure.
And by that, I'm showing love for the family and trying to impress upon us the worth of family and community.
Mm-hmm.
And any kind of language or action that would come against the family, I think we have to rise up against it now. What we need to do in rising up, I believe, is first show the example of what family and community
I would
is
agree with
supposed to
that,
look,
yes.
how it's supposed to look.
I agree both with what you both just said. We are visible in the community, right? And what we say and how we say it, what we do and how we act, are noticed.
Yes,
Right? And we don't have the luxury of anonymity,
that's right.
both for good and for bad.
That's right.
And Sue and I had spoken after the reprehensible actions in New Zealand,
Mhm.
and part of what I wanted to do here this afternoon is, in place of a vigil. We've had vigils. We've had vigils after
Orlando,
Charlottesville,
Yes.
Pittsburgh,
Charleston, South
Charleston,
Carolina.
yes. And they were embraced, and people came, and it was moving, and they were powerful. But what I want to try to do, and for us as clergy leaders, what are the next steps? I don't want to react to. I would like to move it proactive.
Yes.
And that's what I think we need to be thinking about as well. Tackle Talbot Association of Clergy and Laity, which we are a part of. You happen to be president, and you are vice president this year. I think being proactive and setting an expectation could be good for us.
Yes.
And I don't know when this stops. I don't know if it ever will stop. Sadly.
Yes.
But I know that we have a responsibility as clergy leaders to try to mold and shape thinking, and we can't get to everybody. I know that. Anyway, thoughts?
Well, I think one of the core values that we share, we make a big deal out of it in Unitarian Universalism, is how do you deal with difference? I think we're kidding ourselves if we think all people are exactly the same. I mean, we come with cultures, we come with religious traditions, we come with different motivations on how we think of the holy, how we think of the sacred. And I think, again, putting aside the outliers, because I think there probably are very few people that are explicitly birdseed
Right.
hateful, but I do think
Good phrase.
we shy away
Excuse me.
from really understanding difference. I think we tend to sometimes stay in our own comfort zones and stretching a bit of learning about other faith traditions, of making sure when I look at who I'm communicating with, who I'm having as lunch dates, am I learning something new every month about another culture, about racial differences, about different places? I think the skill set of learning to actually be in a place where we're not just hearing ourselves is important.
I think that's wise and correct, without question. I mean, that's certainly why I am on the road all the time, going to speaking any place that anyone wants me to go, and that is important. And this may reveal my naivete, but I take, and I apologize for being rabbinic, but I take the opening words of Genesis seriously, that we were created in God's image. And I guess for me the challenge is, when will people look at my face, or when do I look at your face and see the image of God as opposed to whatever else? Not necessarily gender or race or ethnicity, but humanity. And I get, I don't know, I don't mean to stutter and stammer, but that it frustrates me.
Yes.
You know, I want to know about you. I judge you by your actions, by whether you say you're going to do what you're going to do, and that sort of thing. I don't know you until I get to see how you act, not necessarily, well, to some degree, what you say. But I think those are the elements where we learn about each other. You know. Anyway, go ahead. I'll be quiet.
From that perspective, when do we get to the point where we see God in the face of everyone? I think that that is the starting point. Now, it might take us a lifetime to get there, but I think that we ought to be moving constantly in that direction, because until I can see you as you are created, then I really don't see you.
Yeah, no, sure.
You know, I will have all kinds of preconceived notions and judge you by something that I shouldn't be judging you by. But when I come from the standpoint of seeing the Creator in you, then I can respect you, I can love you, I can cherish you for the human being that you are, and the potential of you benefiting the world.
You know, as you were talking, I was thinking, it's my responsibility to reflect God through me, right? I'm not God. I'm not suggesting that, but I need to comport myself in such a way that if you look at my face, there is, and that's a metaphor, that how I behave, how I speak, how I interact, communicates something that connects us as human beings. You know, and as a student of history, you know, history teaches us a lot about this. However, we tend to forget very quickly or if not totally ignore what history teaches us all too often.
Yes.
And I also think God did not make us all looking the same, bringing the same identity or cultural characteristics together. So when we come together, I don't think we even should aim for a colorblind society. I want folks to be able to come forward in the full radiance of who they are, what they are bringing here. Because if we were all alike, that would be a different world. But I think what I'm hearing is we're all valued. We all come with an inherent worth and dignity, and as we promote that, which is, first principle for me, is as we promote inherent worth and dignity, we make space for folks, that come to the world and they're in a wheelchair. We make space for folks who come with a whole set of offerings, and it doesn't all look the same, and we get to know folks through in different ways, because I don't think we're trying to blend. We're trying to be together in that richness.
Blending, that may be a part of it, but also somebody asked me, they came to the new synagogue and they said, gee, this is so beautiful, and you're opening it to the community. We have all kinds of stuff going on, which I'm very pleased with.
We're happy with too.
Yes, I know. and part of that is, from a very specific perspective, the more people that come into Temple, the more people that see the new building, which we're very proud of and is really worth seeing because architecturally it's terrific, but that's not the point of these comments. The more people that come in and learn about me and us, the more we demystify ourselves. Right? The more we are able to explain, and not just explain, but the more people learn about us. And all of a sudden, what if they had preconceived notions, they dispel and are dissipated. And you're not as bad as I thought you were.
That's the blessing.
But that's And again, going back to the question about history, that's a hard thing to overcome when you come with preconceived notions, and we all come out of environments. I always tell the story. I may have said it here before, but growing up in my parents' jewelry store, my father made it very clear to my sister and myself, we worked there, but also the few employees that he had, that when somebody walked through that door, it didn't matter who that person was, that person had a choice, and you treated that person, choice to go to his store or others, you treated that person with respect and appreciation. And that was the foundation. Because I started sweeping steps, the back steps, and cleaning out ashtrays when people smoked more when I was 8 years old. And that was the message that was inculcated into me and my sister for our entire time working at Warren Jewelers. So, which is an important lesson, and it changes the perspective and the perception of the problem. So. What are we called to do as clergy? What are we called to do, in your opinion?
In relative to
this,
times of people spewing both hate and inciting fear, as you said, model our best selves. I think giving some language to folks is helpful. But I think I can speak to what I think I'm called to do is sometimes to approach life one more relationship at a time. I think for me, God comes in the interconnection between humans, and to encourage my congregants to keep bridging somehow. I don't know where that goes, but it means I think we create communities of more understanding, a community of more respect, and we were talking before, sometimes tolerance is where it gets to. It may not be far enough, but it's a step towards safety. It may not be a full piece, and I think that's an interesting...
That's a topic for another discussion.
It is.
That's an important topic. We'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
D'Artagnan, last words?
Well, in Scots and at Asbury. At Scots, we're called the light by the light. And in Asbury, we're the light on the hill. My motto for 2019 is stay where the light is. I want to be able to let the light of God, as I understand it, shine in the midst of darkness. In whatever situation, I know that I have to be. I can't rely on anyone else. I have to be the one to shine the light. And so I believe that's what I'm called to do.
It's challenging. The atmosphere in which we are currently living, I believe, is really challenging for us as clergy and as people of faith and as people who want to see the good components and elements of citizenship evolve and grow and develop. We will talk about this again a lot, and you will come back.
Yes.
I'm appreciative to you for your time. I know how busy your schedules are. We have been talking to Reverend Sue Browning. She is the Reverend at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Easton as well as in Chestertown, and to my colleague, the Reverend D'Artagnan Hines, who is Reverend at Asbury United Methodist Church and at Scott's United Methodist Church, because for these two, one isn't enough. Sorry, that was inside clergy humor. Thank you for taking the time to be at the Rabbi's Roundtable. These are important and challenging questions that we face as individuals, as clergy leaders. We will address other issues and try to give our community some direction as we face these kinds of issues and grow beyond them. Amen. Easton, you have been seated at the Rabbi's Roundtable. I appreciate your time. We will see you at the next taping. Thanks.